you get mixed up in this?
Not mixed up, sir. I've been a member of the party since I was a boy.
So you're one of the faithful?
On the quiet. No meetings, no marches. In a lonely life. They use me when they can in little ways. I've picked up from your drop many a time.
Have you never wavered a bit, Halliday? Hungary? Czechoslovakia?
I don't know what you've done for us, sir, but it must be important. Makes me proud to think that you're on the road to Moscow in this old car of mine.
I never wanted to end up in Moscow. I'm afraid I'm not a communist, Mr. Halliday.
There's a key in the glove compartment, room 1028. All you have to do is to take the lift straight up.
And after that?
I wouldn't know, sir. A little present. That trollop you asked for. You might be glad for something to read.
Thank you.
Goodbye, sir.
Please, time is a little lacking for us. Please, sit down. This is your passport, Mr. Partridge. Your ticket is to Paris only.
But surely they'll be watching all planes wherever they go.
They'll be watching, in particular, the one to Prague, which is due to leave at the same time as the one to Moscow, which has been delayed. Perhaps our float await an important passenger. The police will be very attentive to Prague and Moscow.
But what about the immigration desk?
That would be taken care of. Please, keep still, Mr. Partridge.
But what's my profession?
Retired.
Well, that at least is true.
Could I speak to Mrs. Morris Castle, please?
What name, please?
Butler.
Would you wait in there?
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a Mr. Butler to see you, Sarah. Please don't leave your toys lying about. There's a good boy.
Mrs. Castle.
Yes.
I'm Inspector Butler.
Yes.
I thought perhaps you might tell us how to get in touch with your husband.
You don't know where he is?
Well, why should the police know where your husband is?
I mean, you didn't try his office?
It was his office which suggested I might find you here.
Well, I don't know where he is. What is it about?
It's partly about a dog.
Bulla?
Well, the neighbors complained about the noise, a sort of whining, and someone telephoned the police station. Well, the dog had been shot, and whoever did it made a mess of it. I'm afraid, Mrs. Castle, they had to finish your dog off.
Oh, God, what will Sam say?
Sam?
My son. He loved Bulla.
Oh. Well, tell him the dog was run over and killed right away.
Yes, perhaps. I can't really help you. You see, I'm separated from my husband.
When did you see him last?
Saturday morning.
And you don't know where he is now?
I'm afraid, Inspector. I don't much care where he is now.
Thank you, Mrs. Castle.
Mrs. Castle, I'm so happy I persuaded you to come. How about a drink? I've decided on a sherry.
That's fine. I don't know why I did come.
Well, let's get the important matters settled first, shall we? In a place like this, it's best to go English. May I suggest the Lancashire hot pot?
I don't mind.
And to start with,
Nothing.
I shall follow your admirable example. To drink, what about some wine?
Thank you. Just a glass.
Excellent. You must have been having a very anxious time,
Anxious?
not knowing from day to day.
I was not terribly interested.
But you are here.
At your request.
We were all very fond of Morris.
You speak as though he were dead.
Oh, no. I expect you know he's arrived safely in Moscow. Oh, my dear, I've upset you.
No, it's all right.
We're going straight to the Lancashire hot pot. I'm sorry. I thought you'd heard the good news.
Good news.
Well, I'm speaking from your point of view. Morris has chosen a very dangerous road. We all hope very much you won't get involved.
I have separated from Morris.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, it was the obvious thing to do, wasn't it? You would have made it a little bit conspicuous, the three of you.
You think I'm a traitor, too?
My dear, traitor isn't a word we use in the firm. We leave that to the newspapers. Let's say Morris followed a different loyalty, and what could be more sacred than family loyalty? May I ask what you'll do when he does get in touch with you?
I shall do what he tells me to do.
So glad you said that. It means you and I can be perfectly frank with one another. I imagine that sooner or later he'll ask you to join him out there.
And I'll go?
With the child?
Of course.
No, he'll have a bottle of the Mouton Cadet.
You can't stop us from going.
I wouldn't be too sure. We've got quite a file on you at the office. In South Africa, you were very friendly with a man named Connolly, a communist agent.
Of course I was. I was helping Morris for your service, though I didn't know it then. I thought he was writing a book.
And perhaps Morris even then was helping Connolly. Morris is now in Moscow. MI5 might think you ought to be investigated. All we're asking is that you be sensible. Stay in the country with your mother-in-law and your child.
Morris's child.
Well, that's another thing. You met this man, Cornelius Muller. He's of the opinion, forgive the plain speaking, that the father was one of your people. You had a boyfriend.
He's dead.
Muller says he's safely under lock and key, alive for.
Mullah is lying.
Probably. What difference does it make? Is the child on your passport?
No.
Passport people can be very slow at times.
What bastards you are.
My dear, if you'll let an old man advise you, an old man who was a friend of Morris.
And of Davis. You were a friend of Davis, too, weren't you?
Surely you're not leaving already?
Oh, yes, I am leaving. And please, don't telephone me again.
Hello, I'm Bellamy. I thought I'd take up my courage and call. Un petit cadeau.
Thank you.
I never knew where to find things until Cruikshank showed me, and then I showed Bates. You haven't met them yet?
No.
Well, they will come round now that you've been unwrapped. I hear you're going to have a press conference any day now.
How do you know?
From a Russian friend. Dreadful, isn't it? Don't worry, it's just a matter of insisting on your own standards. You'd be surprised what you can achieve if you don't stand for any nonsense. They want us to be happy.
I'm afraid I don't recall how you... Did you say Bellamy?
Bellamy, of the British Council. My dear, yes, complicated story. I had a German friend. It seems he was running a lot of agents in the East, though I didn't know. Then the silly boy got himself seduced by an awful woman. An awful woman. He deserved to be punished, so I blew the whistle on him, if you'll pardon the expression. And she reported me to the British Embassy, the little bitch. Was I glad to get Checkpoint Charlie behind me?
Are you happy here?
Yes, I am. I've got a Russian friend now. It's against the law, of course, but they make exceptions. And my friend is an officer in the KGB. You must come and see our villa when the spring comes.
What's that?
It must be your phone, old dear.
Hello? Hello? Well, at least it's connected. How do you phone London?
No point yet. They'll tell you when.
Boris!
Welcome. Don't mind me. I'm just going.
This is Mr. Bellamy.
I'm bientôt, children.
How's Sarah?
In a minute. Sarah asked me to give you one from her and one from Sam. They're well enough.
When will I see them?
That is what I came to speak to you about. There are difficulties.
What difficulties?
You will have to be patient.
Patient. Did you see her?
I spoke to her.
Did she seem well?
Yes, yes.
Well, what are the difficulties?
We didn't assume they would try to stop her.
They can't stop her.
Sam has no passport. And your people have hinted that if she tries to leave, she can be arrested for complicity.
You promised.
In good faith. It might still be possible to smuggle her out if she left the child behind.
Sarah wouldn't do that.
I know, she told me.
Why did you get me out? Old Halliday had the dope on Uncle Remus.
You sent the emergency signal, we answered it. Also, it was very important for us to get you out.
Why?
I will tell you, you have never been given the real picture. Your people thought they had an agent in place here in Moscow, but we planted him on them. The information you gave us, he passed back to London. Your reports had no value themselves, but they made the so-called defector look genuine. And all the time, he was passing to London other information which we wanted London to believe. A nice piece of deception.
It was me you deceived. You and Connolly. Yes, I always gave away too much in a swore.
But then came Uncle Remus. And we decided the best way to deal with Uncle Remus was publicity. Tell everybody. We couldn't do that and leave you in London. We needed you here because you had to be our source.
I would rather have stayed. At least prisons have visiting days.
We need you here, Morris. In a few days, you meet the press.
Well, suppose I refuse to cooperate unless you bring Sarah.
Then we will do without you. We are grateful to you, Morris, but gratitude, like love, needs to be renewed, or it is liable to die away. Things are not so bad here. You will like it better when the spring comes.
Sarah?